Hello, welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Garrett and this is the Mammoth Armory. In this video I'll be showing you how to make a war axe. Let's get to it. For this build you are going to need a ruler, a Sharpie, that's my stencil for the blade, a riveter and rivets. This is a 28-inch genuine hickory axe handle that came with a wedge. Keep the wedge, that's important for the build. This is a 3/16 by 12-inch piece of flat bar that I had cut to 12 inches so it makes a square foot. An angle grinder, cutoff wheel optional, flat disc necessary. A hole cutting attachment for a drill bit the same size. This is a piece of 1 7/8 inch steel tube, and this is a jigsaw. You're also going to need a piece of sheet aluminum. This is really dirty, so I'm going to have to clean it up. You're also going to need a welder and the plasma cutter. The cutoff wheel is the optional part for the plasma cutter, because if you don't have a plasma cutter, you can use the cutoff wheel on the angle grinder. Now you're going to take your piece of steel and your template and you're going to lay it down so that it makes it wastes the least amount of steel, because you can use this steel for other projects. Now, you're going to take your handy dandy Sharpie. If I can do this right, and boom, there's my stencil drawn out onto the steel. Now let's get to cutting this. So because I have this perfect circle piece here on my axe head, you're going to have to find the center there, and take a hole punch and put it on the center and whack it with a hammer. Now you're going to take this beautiful piece of metal right here, bring it over here. So you're going to make sure that your hole punch is centered. And take your trusty clamps, clap it once there, and let's go once right there. You're going to start your drill press and go to town.
I won't soothe your pain.
If you did this right, that hole and the drill bit on your hole saw should fit perfect. Now I'm going to take the hole saw and put it through that hole and mark where I have to cut with the plasma cutter. Alright, so I'm going to cut the shape of the axe head out of the steel with the plasma cutter. If you're using a plasma cutter, you always want to wear gloves and eye protection.
Of your stolen power, see your eyes through you anyhow.
Alright, now we need to change this drill bit out for this hole saw. And be sure to put this piece of plywood underneath it so that you don't end up cutting up your drill press table. And here's the same thing all clamped up.
Your stolen power, see your eyes through you anyhow. I see.
Take that piece of metal, put it in the vice grip right there, get to grinding. While we're at take all this mill scale off of here, make it nice and shiny. To find out what size pipe you need for the axe head, what you do is you measure the circumference around this part of the axe handle. Then you take that measurement and you apply it to the inner circumference of the pipe. Now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this pipe, we're gonna heat it up, then we're gonna squish it in the vice grip over here and try to get it to be the same shape as that. So we've got to take that and change it to that.
See your eyes through.
Here's that tube after we welded onto it. And then this is what it's gonna look like when we're all done. Pretty damn cool if you ask me. I'm gonna cut these shapes out of the aluminum. Alright, so I cut these shapes out. And these shapes are gonna go inside of the axe head, something like that. And because the jigsaw over here cut this out not so cleanly, I've got to take my file and go in and clean that all up. Alright, so I've got my two pieces of aluminum sandwiched around my steel. My aluminum is shiny side down so that I don't scratch up the shiny. And now I'm going to drill a hole that is the same size as my pop rivets. And I'm going to put a rivet in there. And then drill another hole, same size. Put another rivet in that one. And then I'm going to clamp it to the table and drill all the rest of the holes.
Failing any foe in my case.
Alright, so I've got all the holes drilled. I decided to go with 4. And now we've got to weld this piece to that. The weld's not great and it doesn't really look that pretty, so we're going to grind it down. So now my dad's helping me and we're going to heat up the blade like we did the pipe. And when it's red hot and so hot that you can't stick a magnet to it, you drop it into the motor oil and it will temper the steel so that you can then sharpen it and it'll hold an edge.
You want me like the other boys do. They stare at me while I stare at you. You want me like the other boys do.
camera died right there. But what happened basically was you take the axe head and you turn it upside down, and then you wedge this onto it, the axe handle onto the axe head. Then you hit the top of it with a hammer. And the power of inertia does some weird stuff and pushes the head onto the handle. Then you take the wedge that came with the handle and you put it in the top there, and you hammer that down until it breaks. Then you rivet the aluminum pieces onto the head and you smush those down with a hammer, a ball peen hammer. And then, I haven't put an edge on this yet, but then you take a whetstone and you sharpen the blade. There you have an axe. I'm going to upload the test videos separately, but I want to give a shout out to Zednot Alpha, who was my inspiration for creating a YouTube channel and making videos and making an axe. I think it turned out pretty cool. And have a nice day. I'll talk to you guys later.